Hello, welcome. Today we're going to be talking about comics, and I'm going to be answering a question, not a question, responding to a comment I got a while back on my video about where to post your comic. And someone was wondering why I even bother posting things for free at all. And I think that's kind of an interesting comment to discuss, right? There's a lot of reasons to post for free. You don't have to post for free, but it's something I like to do. So if you don't want to post for free, let's talk about that for a bit here. If you don't want to post your comic for free, the options are either you're going to be self-publishing something or you're going to be working with a publisher, right? And I think those are both valid approaches to comics. People do well with those two adventures. But I personally have always been a webcomic kind of guy, a free posting kind of guy. I offer early access on my Patreon, and I do print runs of my books. So it's a lot of premium content, but not a lot of like buy only content. And I've done a few things where buying is the only way to get them. Primarily, I've done this with novels, but it's not something I like. It's just kind of like a weird fact of selling novels as opposed to comics that people have the expectation of like paying for books, and not tons of people use kind of the free chapter by chapter updates unless we're talking about like fan fiction. And I've been working on trying to find ways around that by offering my novels for free in like an easy reader webcomic hybrid thing that is doing well, and I enjoy that. I think for the most part, for like the main reason that I post things for free, it's that I just want the most people out there to be able to access my comics. I like people reading my comics, commenting on my comics. I don't have like I do have the ability to get my books in libraries, and some of my books are in libraries, predominantly Honeywell's, which is a novel that I wrote. But as for comics, I'm not in every library. I'm not accessible to every person. And I think accessibility is just something like I care about. And I just want the most amount of people to be able to read my stories, because at the end of the day, I just want people to experience my stories. Money hasn't always been like the main focus for my writing. I would love to be able to support myself off of it. And there are ways to maybe hone in on that, make that a bit easier for myself. I know I have friends who are more in line with that, but again, like I I have this like thought of like putting it out to people more than anything. And secondary to that is that there's a lot of free content on the internet. And when you're working on a comic, a lot of the times you don't have tons to post because comics take so much of your time. And when you have a web comic, you have something that updates every day that people can engage with. Okay, whoa, me, I have one updating every day, but other people, like once a week, having something to post is like so helpful, because if you're locked in on comics, you might not always be posting tons to social media, having a lot to share, being able to be like, hey, this is something I'm working on, check it out. Like that is valuable. For me, that's always been valuable. It helps me get into get eyes on my work to be constantly updating, posting. I think you can critique it, the normalization of like comics being like this free thing that you're kind of like entitled to, and there is an issue with audiences sometimes being entitled. I've not run into it, but I do know other creators who have, and get frustrated with their audience for like this like entitled behavior. And expecting large quantities of free updates. So like I understand that that can be kind of like a culture that forms around giving away comics for free. I've always thought about it as more like when I'm posting, when I'm selling things, it's a luxury product that people who like to support me can buy, like things like books. Comic books are just like merchandise. Like they're the same thing as plushies. They're something that someone wants to have physically just because it's nice to have it that way. The same with like, I think PDFs that gets sold is just like a more convenient way to access comics versus reading it on a website. It's nice to have it like offline, loaded onto your phone, your iPad, whatever. Like I get that. So selling that is good. And I use itch.io for that. But like the webcomic, like at its heart, like I just want it to be free, and I just want people to like interact with it in a way. Like I don't like doing novels as much as I like doing comics, because like my favorite part about writing a novel is handing it over to my wife and she reads it and she leaves a note in every margin. And with novels, when you write novels, you get feedback, but it's usually at the end of the novel. People will write a review, and that review isn't geared towards you as a writer. It's geared toward other people who are reading it. So it is fairly and understandably critical of the book because it's for the recommendation. It's not for you. It's not to pump you up or anything. It's not an audience just cheering along with it. I guess sometimes for me, like posting my comic online and getting comments, it's like having like an actual audience. It reminds me of like publishing, like it reminds me a little of doing like stuff on stage, right? Like doing stage plays and having an actual literal audience reaction. Like that's just so valuable to me. Like I did a stage play when I was like a teen. Having it in front of an audience, it heckin' flopped. It did awful. The audience didn't know what to feel about like anything that was happening in it. It was very avant-garde, let's say. I think having even the negative reactions is kind of helpful. It's the same with Pretty Mouth. Like I feel like it helps me grow as a writer. It helps me tune in to what's happening with the community, with what's going on or whatever. That said, like I do say that like posting your webcomic and having an update to share and stuff is good and useful, but I don't entirely know if this is true. I don't know what the conversion is on people going from like reading your book to like buying your book. For me, I feel like maybe I make more sales off of YouTube and just saying that I have a book. But who knows? Like I guess it just comes back right back to like the beginning. The main focus is just like I just like that they're accessible. I like that there's all of these like stories to be shared. A lot of it is like stuff that you wouldn't see in published stories, I guess. Just there's like way more exploration, and stuff gets weird, and I just love webcomics. Like I just have a passion for the community, and I love the community aspect of it. Everyone sharing their art and supporting each other is kind of like just the sort of thing I want to foster. And I have no ill will towards people who don't want to do this. I do think there are benefits to it. I don't think they might be like on their face understandable, but yeah, I just like sharing webcomics, and that's all. That's all there is to it. That's all. I'm having just a long week, so I thought I might just ramble about something here. So thank you for listening. As always, you guys are so lovely, and thank you for listening to this free video. I do videos for free too, but like, it's fun. That is the thing, isn't it? Like, someone commenting on a video like, why do you put out comics for free? Meanwhile, they're watching a video that I put out for free as well. Like building a community, building something up, building social media, building an audience. It's not always like one-to-one about sales or whatever. And I guess that's just how I think about it. Anyways, I am recording this very late into the night, so let's move on. Let's go. Shoo. All right, goodbye.